Episode 30. Back in the studio again because we decided we needed to get people in the house. It's much better. It's much more in-house. Welcome to Ian Molby Murray. How you doing, pal? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, mate. Lossy Buckie game of day, you were just saying.
Yeah, as I said earlier, Lossy were a good better the first half. Buckie were a lot better the second.
Mm-hmm.
I was disappointed with the standards, really.
Aye.
There's a few, even Lewis McKinnon said at half time, he's got your boots for you. I was disappointed, really. But
do you think since you've played that the league standard has dropped in the Highland League?
Personally, I think, yeah. I think the fitness is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, with the Huntleys, the Coves, Peterheads, Fraserburgh, Keith even, the standards a lot better back in the day, in my opinion.
Yeah. I hear that a lot on the podcast. I do. I think Mo mentioned it. John Teasdale was another one that mentioned it. He says, yeah, the boys are fitter. They're more athletes these days, but the fit by standard isn't the best.
Yeah.
Technically, not as good.
It's true. 100%.
And the ones that are technically good, they'll go far, you know. And
that's the only time John Teasdale told the truth, isn't it?
That's a great line. That's a good lad, John.
I met him in Vegas.
Did you?
Well, I told him I was going over, and he drove for California an hour and a half. Stayed for a couple of nights.
Fair play, like.
He's a good lad. JT is brilliant.
Yeah, good man. Right, Molby, we always start with the same question with everyone. I'm interested because obviously with you and your brother quite close, similar in ages and that. How good a football player were you as a kid, and what age did you realise you had a wee bit of potential? But I'm also going to add, did you and your brother make each other better players as bairns?
I think so. When I was growing up, my mum and dad had a fish and chip shop in Mintlaw. And so after school was right across from my granny and granddad's house.
Aye.
So instead of going home to the fish and chip shop, basically, we just played footy at the school grounds every single day. You don't realise how good you are until other people tell you.
Aye.
So even school, like I scored 72 goals right midfield for second year at academy.
There you go.
And my brother went back about 2 years ago, and he said, I've just spoke to Alec Mayer, who's a coach at Fraserburgh. He said, your brother still got the record.
Aye.
Yeah.
There you go, aye.
But I don't know, I hate right midfield.
Aye. Always been up front, like, guys.
Yeah, well, no, Fraserburgh was centre midfield all 9 years. When I left to go to Peterhead, it was right midfield. I hated it. It's a shift, that is.
It is, aye.
But to be fair, when I went as a striker, you probably put a bigger shift in as a striker.
Mm-hmm.
Especially try to chase a lot of Kevin Norris's passes. No, Fraserburgh.
These stray ones, like.
Yeah.
Aye. It's, so, like, kind of mentioning there, like, more old school football, playing as a right midfielder. Normally a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2, you're going to be part of one of the two of them.
Yeah.
3-5-2. 4-4-2, you get away with a wee bit less running, but if you're a 3-5-2 and you're out in that right midfield, that's...
Yeah, it's a shift, isn't it?
Aye, it's 15-20 kilometres a game.
Well,
like.
I think it's more defenders now. It's instead of wingers, really, isn't it?
Aye, it is.
Your fullbacks is up and down, up and down.
So we're more a defensive wing back these days, Kane.
Yeah, I'd go 4-4. Still now, 4-4-2 is the formation I would play.
Well, I'm wearing my Bishop Mill badge now. We just started in Welford. We play 4-2-4, like, so it's a wee bit out there. It can be chaos, but it's exciting. It's good to watch. Score goals, that's the main thing, you know.
Yeah.
Welfare football's all about scoring goals, isn't it? You can't get too tactical. Boys are amateurs.
I prefer watching like non-league games to SPL games.
Aye.
So Aberdeen started brilliant. That was a decent game Wednesday, but I'd rather watch Highland League or juniors. I would.
Aye. You still get to, well, obviously get to Buckie and that. Do you still get to a few games?
Well, my boys live in Fraserburgh. My kids live in Fraserburgh.
Yeah.
I live in Mintlaw now. I've moved back home.
Aye.
So we've got a few Brock games.
Right.
But sometimes I get a bit of abuse there because I left there, didn't I? Go to Peterhead. So, no, but it's all fun and games. I enjoy coming to watch games, but I wouldn't like to pay 40, 50 quid a ticket to watch a Premier League game or better value, Highland League.
Aye, 100%, pal, 100%. I think it's a saturated product on the TV these days. It's about like there's too many stoppages in that, in it, and it's no proper fit by.
No,
like,
and VAR as well has ruined it. I think.
Did I get me started? Okay, Molby. Football idol growing up. Who did you look up to?
Gordon Strachan was my hero.
Ah, what a man! Like,
So I'm a Man U fan. So once he left Aberdeen, that's why I started supporting Man U, because he went there.
aye.
My brother's Liverpool. He was Kenny Dalglish, I think, his hero. No, Eric Black. Sorry, it was
Eric Black. Aye, that's a name
who
you
it
don't
is.
hear very often.
It's my brother's 25th anniversary at City, Bristol City.
Mm-hmm.
The City phoned me and said, who's his hero? And I said, Eric Black. They've organised Eric Black to come to the game.
Ah, that's brilliant.
So he came on the games with a meal in the box and everything. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's what you need, mate.
Strachan, I like Strachan.
Strachan was he was a bit different because he was ahead of his time. He played in his 40s and I actually think he was a better player at Leeds than he was like at Man United. He was aged a wee bit like a fine wine, but I'm a big Celtic fan, so I've got great memories of Gordon Strachan.
Yeah.
He done a treble when we were there and 3 in a row and good run in Champions League. Always set his teams up. His teams were always hard working and good man. Like I do.
Yeah.
You look at his level as well. Coventry, Southampton. He was always successful.
Yeah,
Teams he was at. Like right, early experiences of Highland League in Fraserburgh. What age did you make your debut in Highland League?
15.
15.
So I was playing for Mintlaw, and my brother says to me, he says, do you want to come and train with Fraserburgh? He says, I've spoke to Charlie about it. And I was like, yeah, okay. I went through, I think I was only 14 at the time, 14 and a half, just turning 15 maybe. And so the first training session, this guy comes in 50-50. But he turned his elbow, burst my nose. Like, I went mad.
Aye.
My brother went, oh, that's a manager. It was Charlie. So I think I trained about 3 or 4 sessions and he got a contract.
Aye.
I think I waited 2-3 months before I got a start.
Yeah.
But my debut, I came on as a sub and scored the winner against Peterhead.
Aye.
I was playing centre mid, but back then, I'm 5'5" or something. It's all massive lads.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit daunting really, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And once you start playing, you want to play it every week. That's I always say to my kids, you do anything to win a game.
Aye.
You must be at your best every time. Train hard.
It's a mentality thing, isn't it? It's you've got to kind of, if you've nae got that, you've got to teach yourself that. And putting yourself in as a young loon, you went in that team, a lot of winners and boys that had experienced and went and won things, and it's stands you in good stead, doesn't it?
Before I went to the Buckie game, I just said to Josh, it's about having winners in your team.
Mm-hmm.
You must work hard in training. Every training session's a battle as well. Okay, it's your teammates, but you need to win every duel, everything.
Yeah.
And it shows on a Saturday.
Aye. It rubs off on other guys as well. You know, you see a guy and you think, right, okay, he can play like that. I'm going to step up my game as well. We're not going to go into your 11 yet, but going into a team with guys like Billy Gordon, you know, 700-800 games in the Highland League, you know, it's guys that are going to stand you in good stead.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Billy's unbelievable keeper. Probably the best shot stopper I played with, and that was Paul Mathers. He was a great keeper. Peterhead, Ivor Pirrie, Blanchard, Ross Bremner, Barry Thompson, all great keepers. But that's why I put Billy in my team, because his appearances for Fraserburgh, he'll probably tell you he was probably happy with the back pass rule, because he wasn't the best with his feet, and he'll tell you that.
Yeah,
but he's an unbelievable professional and goalkeeper.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Right, my favourite 2 questions. Who's the best player you've played with in your career, Molby?
We spoke about it before. Every game, it's just a hard one. I should be saying my brother, really, but I'm always going to go Mikey Stephen.
Yeah.
Fraserburgh, he was unbelievable. Left winger, up front, he was just class, Mikey. And I had played with Mike McKenzie, who was also an unbelievable player, but Mikey Stephen, he's up top of everyone. He could have went, I think it was him and was it McBride or Hunter, had a chance to go to Luton.
Yep.
Both of them. It was Hunter, I think, and he just had a new girlfriend, so he binned it off. Mikey Stephen binned it off as well, but Mikey was class. And I think if you had a few Fraserburgh, any guys that played with him, they'll probably say him as well.
Yeah. Flip side of the question, who's the best player you've played against? You can give me a few answers, like is there anyone that sticks out that you used to just give you an absolute nightmare?
Depends if Depends what position.
So let's say if you're
playing up front,
if you're up front, who's a centre back you just did not like playing
it was
against?
two. It was easy. Andy Patterson and Davy Morland. They both played the same Huntley side.
Yeah,
They were unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Davy gets mentioned on here. I think him and maybe Neefy McLennan are the two most mentioned players on here. And I think I go back to Martin Stewart when I had him on here. He says Davy was a hard man, but he could also play football as well.
He was brilliant. We had a few battles. And I was kind of scared of him. Really. Davy, he's small, but he's a big presence.
Yeah.
I remember it was one of the Scotland tournament. I was sitting next to him in the plane. It was me and him, because it was alphabetical order, Murray and Moreland. I was like, oh no. We ended up getting on all right.
Yeah.
And I know I've spoke to him recently, a few guys I work with now. We used to work with him. But he's a different class, Davy.
Yeah.
Wooden the ball, he was composed, wasn't he?
Aye, yeah. A guy you wanted on your team as well, you know. It's
100%.
like go through brick walls for things. Yeah.
That Huntley team back then were unbelievable.
I just kind of we've had Martin Stewart on. I've had Pelly and things like that on, who obviously was a manager at the time. And what were they like to play against? Because that's probably considered the best Highland League team of all time.
Yeah. Well, you see the results in the Scottish Cup games against bigger clubs as well.
Yeah.
But you get like Gary White, Martin Stewart, Stevie Lennox, Eddie Copeland was class as well.
Yeah.
The Barros, Gary White. Some squad like Big Garner in goals.
Aye.
And Andy, Davy. That team would probably win the Highland League now.
Aye.
They're class. But it was good to play against. That's the kind of games you want to play against. That shows you that your question earlier, when you found out how good you are, is when you start beating guys like these.
Aye. Makes you a better player. You got to play against the best to make yourself a better player, Molby.
Definitely.
100%, Paul. Right, so you had a good stint at Fraserburgh. Any kind of, what's your standout moment from your 9 seasons you had there?
9 seasons. Scottish Cup runs were always good. I got sent off one. We played Clyde. I think it was the second or third round. First minute, a guy Crawford Baptiste, I think he's with a Falkirk, big lad. Header. Billy Gordon tipped it over the bar. Another corner. Header. I tipped it over the bar. Straight red. I think it was the second minute. First or second minute. I missed the penalty. And Paul Keith went up straight up from the penalty and scored 1-0. We beat them 1-0. I won Save the Season, so it was probably my highlight. I'm just gutted I never won the Highland League with Fraserburgh.
Aye.
I think 4 or 5 seasons out of 9 were second. We won a few cups, and the qualifying cup was probably the best one.
Yeah.
But I was just disappointed I never won the league. They won it, when I signed for the Vale, they won it against us in the last game, second last game.
Aye.
I was gutted, but I was happy for Charlie and Brucey, and they're all great guys up there.
Yeah, they've always had a strong team, Fraserburgh. Even the last couple of seasons, it's good to see them. I do keep an eye. It's Scott Barber's probably one of the best players in that
class. Yeah.
But as I say, even from before your time at Fraserburgh, they've always been a competitor. And you look at the Fraserburgh teams, and maybe it's a wee bit of cliche, but there are big lads, you know.
They're all like a radius of 25 miles or something.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is. When I first did like Alan Thompson, remember him? Dashing his nickname. Jimmy Young. I'm thinking about my team. They could have been in my team, my best 11. But I haven't picked any of them. I was telling my son a story last night about Alan Thompson. So it was a golf outing. I think I'd been at Fraser for three months or something. I was when I was still 15. So I was in the second tee and I got a message. Wee man. No, a phone call. It was Dashing. He goes, wee man, he said, I've just bought a bloody Titleist towel for cleaning my balls. He said, I've just lost it. He said, if you find it somewhere, can you pick it up and give it after the game? I went, yeah, no problem. So second fairway. There's this Titleist towel in the middle of the fairway. I went, it's Dashing's towel. So I picked it up. Picked this towel up. I went to take my shot. My hand's full of shit. He went into the bushes, had a shit, and cleaned his ass with his towel. I was wow. That's why he's not on my team.
Aye, it's an initiation and a half. Like, fucking hell.
But it was a good banter back then.
Aye. You missed the banter though. That's one of the biggest things. Yeah.
The dressing rooms were brilliant. Every place I went, the dressing room was good. Buckie, everywhere. Even when I was up at Mod, it was good.
Aye. Were you one of the ones that would be in the capering, Molby, or?
I pulled a few tricks, and I was one party I was at. It was between Darren McAllister and Franny Moore.
Aye.
I fell asleep at Nigel Montgomery's, and somebody had shaved a massive circle on top of my head. I woke up, I was fuming. I was fuming, so somebody said it was Daz. So the next game we were playing Wick away, and I went for a rub before the sprints, on the warm up. I said to Lenny, I said, "Where's Daz sitting?" "Over there." I'd taken scissors with me, cut his suit, cut his tie, cut his shirt, cut everything. He had to travel back in the bus, and we're stopping off in Nairn places in Fraserburgh for beers, and Daz is in the training gear. So Daz, you know now it was me.
100% brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Okay, Peterhead. You played up a level. How was your experience of playing up?
I loved it. I let myself down there. Really, I should have. I played 5-a-sides with mates.
Aye.
After training one night.
Okay.
And there was a bit of stramash. It was a final. It was for like $2,000, I think it was. We've been playing it all season. But when I signed for Peterhead, that's like, you're not allowed to play, obviously, football with anybody else in case you get injured. So I didn't realise that the Barracudas in Aberdeen, Ian Wilson was the gaffer there. And I played in the final. And there was a bit of trouble during the game. So on the Saturday, I went to the Peterhead game. I was in the stand. I was like, I was man of match last game. And the Alan Lyons came up to me. He said, "So was you playing 5-a-sides on Thursday night?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, you've lied." So he says, "The gaffer said you won't play again." So it was my fault. And I'd been there, I think I'd been there a season. I was playing most games as well. I'm right midfield. So I let myself down then, but you can't do anything about it, can you?
You live and learn.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I think it was a week after I was with my kid's mum. I think it was Russell Anderson testimony. Maybe we played Liverpool, Pittodrie. And I turned up, and Alan Lyons and Ian Wilson sitting next to me in the stand. I'm like, "Oh, typical."
That's how
I don't have a bad word to say about them. They were both great guys as well. It was my fault. I always got to the left.
Yeah. Things happen for a reason, though, Molby, because you went on to
The season after, yeah, up at Vale. That was some season. I think we lost the first game home to Lossy.
Okay.
Sean Scott scored it. Biscuits.
Biscuits, aye. Right.
I should have had about. That was my first game up front as a striker. I should have had about 5 or 6. We lost 1-0. Then the next 27 games was undefeated. I think we won the league by about 15 points or something.
Yeah.
Or some side that was.
It's so I'm going to kind of go into that. Buckie, Deveronvale, and Mod, silverware everywhere you went.
Yeah.
Is that? Are you kind of more happy that it went that way rather than going and struggling up and trying to make it, or you think, right, I had a fucking good go of that in the Highland League and we won some trophies, and you know the celebrations are always the best bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the party afterwards and that. Do you feel that you made that, well, not made the right decision, but the best course of action happened?
I would have liked to say that Peterhead longer.
Aye.
To see how good I really was. But as you say, everything happens for a reason. I had an unbelievable season. The 2002 it was, 52 goals, and I don't know, we never counted assists back then.
Aye.
But I think I won 2 trophies out of the 4 plus the league with some team. So as you said, yeah, I was happy. As I say, I still am gutted, but you can't have regrets in life.
No,
you
absolutely not, mate.
But it is what it is. But as I say, we had a good team. Greg, as a manager, is unbelievable. He's a good guy. But Greg, he always told us he was a keeper.
Yeah.
So he was in goals a few times in pre-season. That is horrendous.
Aye.
But no, I enjoyed my time at Vale. Really did.
Buckie, it's well, you're still going back new, so it's obviously had an impact on you. The club, they're a big club, and I don't think people realise until they actually get up to the area how big a club they are. And
it's nice set up now. It should have been like that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
but it's great people. I love going back up. I do feel welcome every time. When I played there 2 seasons,
aye,
won a league both. It was probably my favourite place to I was happiest there at all the clubs I've been to. Buckie,
Very
genuinely
strong
is.
team you were in as well.
And I haven't picked any of these Buckie players in my 11.
Yep.
I feel bad because they was a great squad.
We can speak about some new though. Desi Strong.
Yeah.
You mentioned Franny Moore there. You played with Mo at Buckie as well.
He's class, solid. He's a beast, isn't he? Well, it's Martin Charlesworth.
Martin, yeah.
Davy McRae, who's class.
Was Squish there?
Aye.
He's still there now, like, but
Donny as well.
Yeah.
He's class. Shewan, big Jamie Shewan. With a great squad. Kevin Small. Xander Sutherland, do you remember him?
Yeah.
I think he's won a league 5 or 6 times, I think.
Bro Raswell, yeah.
Buckie I loved it. There's a good story about Buckie. So, with Greg Carroll, when all this came out about his private life, I says, it was all stories at training. Because I'd known Greg before, I says, I need to tell him. It's not good people chatting about behind his back. So I go up to Kevin Small, he was captain. I said, Small, come on, let's speak to Greg. I said, we need to tell him. He goes, no, I agree. So we pulled Greg. Greg was like, all right, thanks for telling us. So after training, I was in the dressing room. Everyone's sitting, knowing what's waiting to be said. And Greg went, he goes, right, the story is about my private life. He goes, my private life's my private life. And if nobody's happy, there's the door. And I shouted out, is it the back door? And he fucking threw a bottle of water. And Gary Hake went, only you get away with that. But it kind of broke excited. Everyone was like laughing and joking.
Aye.
But I think it made it a bit easier as well.
Broke the ice a wee bit.
Yeah, it did.
100%. Oh, brilliant. And then Mod as well.
Yeah, Chris Hunter. Like I think it was 30. And Hunter messaged me. He said, you want to come and play for a couple of seasons? I was, yeah. And I went. I was so unfit because I hadn't played for like 4 or 5 months.
Aye.
I really enjoyed Mod as well.
Did it surprise you the level?
It was hard because I came from a Highland League and I'd done pretty well there. A lot of games I was getting targeted.
Aye.
A lot of games. But I enjoyed it because I love it. People wind me up, it makes me better.
Aye. Yeah.
It does.
Best kind of player I like that. It's a good attitude.
And as I say, there as well, great people up at Mod. No, I loved it.
Aye, brilliant. Okay, this is probably going to be my favourite question for you, Molby. Scotland semi-pro captain. How did that all come about? And like, tell us your experience of it.
Well, there used to be like just a random one-off game, like north of Scotland against the south. Then they would pick the best 18 out of the 2 teams.
Aye.
I think the first time was with Davy Moreland down at Kettering, and we drew 1-1. I think it was. I scored a penalty. I remember put the keeper the wrong way, and I walked up to keeper and I goes, where the fuck are you diving? And he chased me up halfway line, the kid goes keeper. But then it started getting like a tournament after that.
Aye.
So 3 games. So the first one was up in Wales. I scored 2 against Ireland, 2 against Wales, and 1 against England. Top scorer. So then the season after was when I had a good season at Vale. And the manager came in, Jim Sinclair, and he went, I want to make you captain. I was like, wow. I was buzzing.
Aye, bloody right,
And I phoned my brother and he's like, oh no, I'm going to never hear the end of this now. I did, I genuinely loved it. I remember I scored it at Bellsday. My mum was there and his granda was there. And I'd obviously stolen some Scottish tracksuits to give to my mum. I said, don't wear them at a game. And turned a bit of Bellsday out the door with a full tracksuit on the hat. And I was like, oh no. But it was... that was brilliant.
Landed you right in it. No, I like it.
I remember I went off the last 5 minutes. So I went over to Michael Stephen with the armband. He went like, oh, cheers. He put his arm out, see you later. I walked over to Darren Still and put it on him. He was like, you dick.
So, like, is it the proper setup? It'll go out, you do the national anthems, all that kind of stuff as well? And
it was nerve-wracking, that was.
Aye.
But when the tournament in Scotland, I was captain, I was all staying in the Britannia Hotel. Aye. All the teams. And when we played Ireland, I got a guy sent off. First 2 minutes, I gave him a little nip, and he elbowed me. And the ref came over and says, well done for not reacting. I was like, oh, thank you. Afterwards, I see the guy in the hotel, but it's the national anthems, everything. It's proper nerve-wracking. But it's an unbelievable setup, and It's a memory for life, that is.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. You want to keep tops and things like that for your career?
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got all the Scotland ones. My house, Vale, Fraserburgh, Buckie, all.
Aye.
I don't have a mod one.
I'm sure there's one kicking about on eBay somewhere. Okay. Excuse me. First World Cup memories, Molby. What's your first? Because I always feel like your first World Cup's a kick off normally a Bairns football in their life. My first World Cup memories is '98. I was 7-year-old and France '98, Scotland opening against Brazil. That's Colin Hendry.
1-0. Was that
2-1?
2-1.
John Collins penalty.
That's right, yeah.
Aye.
Mine's Andy Roxburgh. I was the manager. Costa Rica.
Oh,
remember they beat us 1-0.
Aye,
It was the 90s as well.
Yeah.
Was that
1990? Aye.
Then we beat Sweden 2-1. Then Brazil beat us 1-0 last game. Every time you mention a World Cup, it's the hand of God that comes to mind, isn't it?
Aye. It's
Maradona.
It gets mentioned a lot on here, and like obviously I wasn't around at that time, but it's my dad was at the '86 World Cup. He was at '82 as well, and even though Scotland teams were there, that's everyone's memory of that. Like Scotland had a banging side back then. They when you look at the
squad, I know.
Aye, Man U, Liverpool. The bulk of their players were Man U, Liverpool, Celtic, or Rangers. And all good players.
Yeah, totally. And strong.
Aye.
Strong.
You look at Souness and Dalglish, probably the two best at their position in the world, but never really done it for Scotland, and it's a mystery, that one.
I know.
Right, so you get 4 league titles to your name. What's your favourite? And tell me why.
I would say my last one. So I signed for Buckie when I was 34.
Yep.
I was coming back from offshore. Greg was a taxi driver. And I spoke to him for about a year. And he said, "Do you fancy coming to play for Buckie?" And I was like, I'm on I think it was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, my rotation at a time.
Aye.
You feel bad because you're coming back and you're starting a game when guys have been training for 2 weeks.
Aye.
I didn't like that. But you kept, I think the first season I scored 19, so I did well anyway, but I still don't like it. But it's got to be that one, 35, 36-year-old.
Yeah.
It's your last season.
Aye.
Because I work. I would probably play on, so I was still really fit. But I knew it was it, so yeah, it was probably that one.
And do you feel like when you kind of gave up football, you had more? Obviously, you're saying you could have gone on, but you think you made the right decision rather than maybe struggle on and nay play as much?
I think it's go through your head because I'm making decent money working overseas. If you get an injury, because ruin your work.
That's it.
That was the biggest reason, really.
Aye. And at the end of the day, you've got the next 35 years to think about as well. It's a lot of like when I speak to a lot of football players, and there's maybe one or two that I've spoken to that have made their living for football and can retire off it. Everybody else has to go back to the day job.
I know, yeah.
And
a lot of pros as well.
Aye, yeah. Find a lot of boys go back to. And it sounds bad, but like mediocre jobs, a lot of ex-football players are taxi drivers and things like that.
Dougie Baxter, Cove, he's a taxi driver.
Yeah.
I met him a few times. He's a player, he was.
David Batty was a Leeds taxi driver now.
Is he?
It's
mental.
Mad things like that.
I organised a charity match not long ago.
Aye.
For a care home back in Mintlaw to raise money for a summer house. So I got all ex-Brock players. Bertie Bowie from the 60s, all the lads right up till now. And Josh, how many was about 5 guys stretchered off? Just be pulling muscles. And one guy done his Achilles, ruptured his Achilles.
Yep.
Another guy broke his arm. There's 4 or 5 hamstring pulls. And so it's time to stop now.
I seen a photo a couple of months ago in the Highland League group, and it was I think it was Thistle versus Carley ex-pros game from the 80s and the 70s, and said one of the comments says there was 2 heart attacks that day.
Wow.
And it's like boys just need to came in to give it up a wee bit, but these boys were in their 70s and that, and it's it's a bit sketchy. Right, so I've got my next question. I'm going to kind of open it out a wee bit. My next question is, what's the best goal of your career? But how many do you reckon you scored in your career? You got tallies? You can any numbers?
The last I counted was well, I never counted. I was told it was 218.
Mm-hmm.
When I started as a striker, 13 years into my career.
There you go. Aye.
And I never scored much when I was playing midfield, really, because I'd sat back mostly, centre midfield. I was on 218, but I was just sort of joshing the way up. My favourite one is probably a header.
Aye.
My 200 at Strathspey.
Yeah.
Xander Sutherland whipped a ball in, and I was like 14, 15 yards out, just like a little glancing header. But I've scored some screamers, but I appreciated one more because it was a header.
Aye. Just there's a bit more finesse to it,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And you realise that you didn't get them every day. You'll hit maybe 3 or 4 screamers a season, but you're only hitting one of them every 5 seasons or so.
Exactly,
you know? And you're just on about 218. You'd say, well, I go out on a limb to say you scored half of that in about 3 seasons.
I remember the first 2 seasons at Vale. It's 52 then. I think I was about 30 by October.
Aye.
But I was injured for 2 months after that. I still finished with like 41, I think it was.
That would
So
have
I
been an
could
hour
probably
50.
beat it.
Aye.
In the 52 season as well, I missed 4 penalties that season.
It's mad. Like,
I know.
So I'm just trying to think back. Who's you fighting me for the goal scoring charts back then?
Well, there's a guy I used to work with, Graham Giles. I don't know if you've seen him. Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not.
So this guy, Graham, I worked with him in Angola. He just spoke about football constantly, and I thought, you should write a book, man. So he's just written the second one, Half and Half Scarves. Never mind the Half and Half Scarves. Here's the Highland League. Him and his son, Jake's 10 maybe. Jake's been to over 200 stadiums already.
Aye,
Graham's
wow.
been double.
That's mad.
All over Europe, and he's completed the Highland League, and it's like mental.
That's brilliant. Like that's, but you'd been playing around about the same time as like I'm trying to think, Cammy Keith and boys like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
He's some player. He's Cammy, wasn't he?
Aye.
Good striker he is.
yeah.
They had a good team, Keith. Well, they beat us to the league. But,
That was a
won
shock
the
that year.
season.
Yeah,
good guys. Really good guys. Keith guys as well.
yeah.
Darren Still, he's a lovely geezer.
Well run club. I've been there with the Elgin City under 14, so take that squad, and we go up to Keith, and they're really nice right there. They're out with teas and coffees, and just treat you very nice. And I'm like, this is a youth game, Ken. This is where it's, other places you go, only mention them, you just get abuse, Ken.
Yeah, I know.
It's like
Sandy Staples. Remember Sandy Staples?
Aye.
He was president. He's a lovely guy as well. And Andy Troop.
Andy
Good guys.
Troop. Yeah, so there's been a few people mention Andy.
Yeah.
He's still associated with Keith,
He is,
isn't he? Yeah.
Good guy. Nice guy.
Right, I'm interested. I think I might know the answer to this, but you can maybe give me a few answers. Who's the hardest player you've met in your career?
As in strong, toughest.
Just scariest. Davy Moreland.
Yeah, but the same. Well, Davy, yeah, but Vale played Ayr United at home in the Scottish Cup,
Okay.
and I was up against John Hughes. He was a beast.
Oh, Yogi. Aye.
He was a beast. He was.
And
I played for Peterhead in the quarterfinal of the Scottish Cup. Livingston away. I think he was at Rangers.
Marvin Andrews.
Yeah.
Marvin Andrews.
I was up against him. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, big lad.
He was huge.
Yeah. He was at Elgin for half a season, and he's a cult hero through Elgin, and what a presence. Like you heard him a mile away as well. He was a loud boy, and just did I fancy playing against him. Must be a good solid foot of difference between you two.
Easy.
I think he's 6'5", something 6'6".
I was genuinely looking up thinking, wow.
Aye.
For battles on the pitch, Davy Moreland, yeah. Dougie Baxter and Eddie Copeland.
Aye.
But we're good. I've spoke to all of them after games and even recently, and they loved the battle. You took a tackle, but you could give one out as well. That's the way it should be.
Aye.
Have a beer after the game.
Anyone you played with, kind of sticks out?
Robbie Brown.
Aye.
He's a machine. You don't get the wrong side of Robbie.
No. Aye.
Yeah.
Kind of guys you want in your team, though, isn't it?
I think it was at Bellsley, he broke his leg. It was Mikey Stephen running over, started laughing in his face. I was like, Mikey, that's the wrong thing to do. I was playing for Vale. So Robbie's stretchered off. He comes back 10 months later, we were playing the Fraserburgh. Mikey's stretchered off.
Right.
He doesn't forget.
Straight in like
he's a good lad. When he was fit, because he had a lot of little niggly injuries, but when he was fit, he was a beast, he was. And a lot of players from Vale or Buckie would tell you the same.
Aye, brilliant. Okay, here's the interesting one. What do you reckon your proudest achievement in football will be?
Scotland captain.
Got to be.
Got to be. Doesn't matter what standard it is. If you're captain of your country, it's special, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. You always have that to go with.
Yeah.
You know, as you say, you've got the strips and that. You still got the armband? Did you get FIFA?
Well, I'm sure we took it a stagger.
Okay.
We took a stagger. I think my brother's got it. I think he has. But my daughter's 18 in February, and she goes, Dad, we're all dressed up as celebrities. And I said, why did you put my Scotland kit back on? She went, no, you won't.
Right, I'm just going to do a wee ad for the podcast and then we'll get into your live one. If you're enjoying listening to the podcast, give us a follow on all social media platforms. I'll get Ryan to do a little thing just now while I'm saying this that can possibly just, instead of me reading them out every time, is that okay, Ryan? We'll just put a wee click in. Well, not like a click, but a little thing that comes up where we say, this is the Facebook. Yeah. If you're listening to us and you want to watch us, subscribe for £5 a month, because podcasts aren't cheap to make. But I do appreciate everyone that's subscribed, everyone that follows, and yeah, episodes coming every 2 weeks for unlimited time. Keep them going. 11 time this time, Molby. I'm going to read through it and then we're going to pick it out. So we've got Billy Gordon. You went 3-4-3. I do like that, right?
I've done that deliberately because it's so hard for the defensive. Because I was just panicking because I've left out so many good defenders. Aye. That's why I've put 3. It's easier.
Aye, exactly. Right back of Derek Milne, left back of Stevie Dolan, centre back Scott Patterson, left midfield Mikey Stephen. Centre midfield Marino Keith, centre midfield Robbie Brown, right mid Scott Murray, your brother, striker Mike McKenzie, striker Ian Stewart, and striker Paul Keith. Billy Gordon, I've got 721 games for Fraserburgh.
It's mental. He's a great guy, Billy, as well. Mm-hmm. I've lobbed him probably 721 times as well. He hates it. He said at a charity match, I'm going to lob you, but his son was in goals for the opposition team. I lobbed his son for 20 yards.
You can't be doing that.
He still doesn't speak to me because when I was in Ireland pre-season in Bangor, me and Duncan Summers, excuse me, we phoned up his room because Billy was top pro, didn't drink much, in his room early for bed. And so I phoned up, Irish accent, "You're making a noise." And he went, "No, I'm not, it's not me. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to come and knock on your door." Me and Duncan Summers bowed our fire extinguishers, knocked on Billy's door, he opens it, soaked him, he went mental. He never spoke to us for ages. We were fined 2 weeks' wages. But Billy, as I said earlier, his shot stopping was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It really was.
Derek Milne, your right back.
Yes, man. This was probably the easiest one to pick.
Yeah,
Derek. Matty Kinghorn was class at Vale when I was there. Mm-hmm. But he's still a machine now. He's up running and biking and all the time still. Yeah. Just a good player, hard as nails. I'll kind of try to pick. Sorry.
You want that drink?
All my players is all nasty kind of players as well.
It's near a team. It's physical. Okay, it's a very physical team, and you came with. I think you'd hear a shot at Highland League with that. I says to my son on the way up, even the guys I've left out could probably pick another team. It would probably still win it. Aye.
Would.
Stevie Dolan.
Dippy was class. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many assists he, not for me, but for the Vale. And he was up and down the pitch all game, every game. Yeah. He's just class. It's hard to get past him. And he reads the game really well.
Good left
Great
peg.
left peg, yeah.
Yeah, good left
class
peg.
Player.
Scott Patterson, you mentioned him.
As I say, only played 10 games. I think he came, he was at Liverpool, Palace, Bristol City, and he was at Peterhead. I think 10 games, then straight to Ross County. It shows you how good a player he is from there to there.
Exactly, yeah.
He was just good to watching the ball.
Yep, ahead of his time in that sense.
1,000,000%, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard position because I feel bad for like Russell McBride, Big Mo even, Scotty Anderson's quality, and Brian DeGlonsky, remember him? I played with him at Vale, he was class. He came for County, I think.
Okay.
And I've left all that guys out for a guy I've played 10 games with, so it shows you how good a player he is.
Aye, no. It says a lot. It really does say a lot, Molby. Mikey Stephen. So, yeah, you mentioned him as well.
Best player I've played with.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's unbelievable. Mikey, quick, unbelievable left foot. There's not much more to say. Mikey's Mikey.
How many goals do you reckon he'd set up?
Oh.
Because this is before the assist days, isn't it?
I know. When did the assists actually start?
I think we've asked this question quite recently. I don't know. I don't know when it started. Because I didn't remember it maybe before 2010, maybe something like that. I don't know. I would love to know assists the Vale team. Me, Mike McKenzie had the season we won the league because we set up a lot of each other's goals. It seems to be more important these days for teams, especially when you go to the higher level. They're more who can set up the goals rather than who can.
Well, you hear some of the professionals, they say, I'd rather assist than score.
Aye.
Wow. I know.
Nah, it's not for me. Like, Maureen O'Keefe, this is an interesting one because obviously went on to play at quite a high level doing in England and things like that.
Well, he went to Falkirk. He was in Plymouth. Mm-hmm. He got a bad injury, his Achilles, so I think he retired when he was 30, 31.
He's a Peterhead boy, isn't he? Mintlaw, aye.
So Mintlaw was me, my brother, Chris Hunter, Keith McCready. Keith, before he broke his leg, he would have made that pro easy.
Yep.
Marino, Paul. So 10 of us. Kim Little, the Arsenal women's captain, she's Mintlaw.
What are your school teams like?
With Mark Simpson, do you remember him?
No.
Big Simmy, he played at his son plays for Fraserburgh, Kieran. He was at Maud. He's from Maud, but Mintlaw Academy teams were class.
Aye.
It really did. It's Alex Mayer again, another guy, Gordon Robertson. I was a PE teachers. They were brilliant.
Aye. Yeah.
Really good.
Well, we always used to hate tough games coming through Aberdeen. Banff was always a hard game as well. There's a bald-headed PE teacher at Banff. He's been there for about 40 odd years.
Oh yeah.
And he took all the teams. He used to shout a lot.
I know who that is. Yeah, I know that guy.
I think he's still there now. Like it's right. Robbie Brown. You just mentioned him, hard man, but he could play as well. Yeah, he could play.
But he's fit, as I say. He was unstoppable.
Yeah,
he was just solid,
hard
as nails, and he could pass. But it was nothing was fancy. He would just nail somebody. Pass it 5 yards, pass it 5. And that's what you should do. I hear all this little flicks, and so you're watching Anthony at Man United doing all this pirouettes, just take him out.
Aye.
Just play ball simple.
Aye. No, I agree. It's football's too basic a sport to be doing some things. Like, you're just wasting time. Yeah. Especially, and no offence to Man United, but he's doing this when they're 2-0 down.
I know.
You know?
I know. If I was a manager, your teammates.
Aye.
You'd be fuming, wouldn't you?
Aye, you would. It's pointless. Okay, we'll get a wee bit more into next then. You're right midfielder, Scott Murray, your own brother.
Yeah.
So we've actually had John Teasdale mentioned.
He got him down to Villa.
Yeah.
I think it was through Kevin McDonald, I think.
Yeah, he was saying that. His Villa debut for the reserves was...
I was down out of a game.
Yeah.
Playing Bolton at home, and he scored a hat-trick in the first 12 minutes.
Yep, and it's still to this day the quickest ever hat-trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ron Atkinson said that it was me, my dad, Brucey and Charlie Duncan and Brucey Buchan.
Yep.
So we're in Ron Atkinson's office straight after the game, big snooker table, brandy on the table. And he says, I've got a few questions to ask you, son. My brother, yeah. My brother's thick, really thick.
Okay.
And he went, he goes, do you smoke? No, do you drink? No. He says, I never touch the stuff. He goes, oh, that's good. He says, do you smoke? And he says, sometimes have a cigar when I'm pissed. He's just told him he didn't drink. And I was like, fuck's sake. We all had, even Big Ron started laughing. But they got a good deal for him. I think they paid 35 grand or something.
Aye. That's
so
a lot
that
of
was
money.
that was through John Teasdale.
Yeah.
In fact, he stayed at my house for a few years, but he was a manager alongside JT.
Aye, right, okay.
He stayed with me and my dad. Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
Aye, he's a lad, John. Mike McKenzie.
Mikey.
He went on for a long time in the Highland League.
He was when he was playing for Lossy.
Aye. I was a young loon.
He was given a chance to go to Serie B.
Aye.
I'm sure it was Sampdoria. So it was a team. and Lossie refused to let him go. I was like,
No
what?
way.
So I found this story out because Mikey played in the Scottish Select, I think, one tournament.
Aye.
And when he came on, I said, I bet you'd rather be in Sampdoria. And he went, who the fuck told you that story? So it was a true story.
That's mad.
But honestly, he's got the best. He can't run.
Yeah.
But he's got a bullet of a shot. He's got the best touch I've ever played with.
Yeah.
So touch is unbelievable.
Physique's good as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Physique.
He does like a bandit. So if you get him up here, you'll need a foot machine in here.
Somebody I'm just going to try and hunt down. If you can give me any details for him, please let me know. Anyone listening to this, if you can give me any details for the next man, please let me know. Ian Stewart. They reckon, I've spoke to a few people, they reckon he's the best striker that's ever been in the Highland League.
He's smaller than me.
Aye.
But it's how strong he was. The first game I played for Peterhead was away to East Stirling, the old East Stirling's ground. And I played decent for my debut. I played decent, but Stuart he's just unbelievable in the ball. His touch, he's just clever.
Yeah.
He's just like streets ahead of other people. And after my debut, I got a phone call at work on a Monday, a Glaswegian accent. Some guy's name from a Daily Record. Okay to do an interview. I was like, yeah. So he says, you must be happy with your performance. He says, you had a great game. So I just started chatting rubbish as you do. And he goes, and Ian Stewart coming down from Cali and that, you must be happy to be linking up. And I was like, yeah, Stewart is brilliant. I said, I've only played one game with him. I says, but this is knowledge and it's the way he speaks to you. I says, he's a great guy to play with.
Yeah.
And he went, cheers, wee man. It was him. It was him at his phone, man. I was like, you dick.
Oh, no way. I set you up there.
I
Like,
know.
that's brilliant. Yeah, I've asked multiple people, and yeah.
After I had that good season with the Vale, I had that incident with Banff. I was fighting. So I had to leave, really.
Yeah.
And Stuart took me back to Peterhead, and I was just starting to go offshore. And he says, well, you need to make your mind up. He says, I want to sign you. He says, come here or go or your work. And I chose work. I was 20, maybe 27 or something. 28. And I thought, well, I was getting to that age. I would rather start working.
Aye.
Because my kids were only a year or 2 year old. I was a Vactor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hard decision. And that's probably another regret. I should have went back then, because my Martin Babbage was playing for them, and they're a good squad then.
Good team back then, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but he's class. He is the best striker I've played with.
Yeah.
Mikey Stevens the best player I've played with.
Yeah. And then we'll finish off your 11 with Paul Keith.
I've only put PK in because the other two lads, Mikey's slow, Stuart is little,
Aye.
but PK is just a beast.
Yep.
Really, if it was for finishing, Chris Hunter would have been in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting 25, 30 goals a season.
Yep.
At Brock, Hunter. But I've only put PK in there because he was a machine. Even at charity match, he scored 2 headers just going through the back of people. He's probably 52 or 53 now. He's still... but PK, his touch wasn't the best,
Aye.
but his pace was good, and he was strong. And as I say, all the other lads would probably I've played with, they'll run through somebody or a brick wall just to win a game.
Yeah.
That's what PK, that's why he's in there.
Unbelievable. Cracking 11, as you say, all winners, all guys you probably wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of either.
Yeah.
I'll go through brick walls for you. Thank you for the last wee while. It's been really enjoyable.
It was pretty quick, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's went by, my man. I've got one question. I always finish on the same question every time, Molby. One penalty needs scored to save your life. Who takes the penalty?
Is that anybody, or is it players I've used to play with?
Anyone at all.
Chris Hunter.
Chris Hunter.
Yeah.
Aye. Life
Yeah.
in his hands.
I was going to put Mike McKenzie, but nah, Hunter. Chris Hunter.
Okay. And then I didn't tell you about this question, but this is a question, and it's probably come from speaking to Mo the last couple of days. Why didn't you put yourself in your 11? Because Mo says that was the biggest dead cert that he thought was Molby will be in his own 11.
Because it's the best players you've played with.
That's
I have
true.
played with myself a lot. But it's the best players you've played with.
Aye.
I would never put myself in a team.
Aye.
I wouldn't have. You need to respect the people you played with.
Aye. I've seen a few people. They've said if I can't put myself in, I need to put someone else in. So I'm like, you do what you want, but it's like
That's the hardest question.
aye. Who comes out? You know, it's
So tough.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel bad for leaving people out.
Aye. Sorry, I keep going on. One last question, but who would be your manager for your 11 for your career? Who's the man that would take you forward?
Ian Wilson.
Aye. Yeah.
I love Charlie, I love Brucey. Greg, I was with Greg for about 6-7 seasons. Hunter was my manager and a mate since primary school. We stayed close to each other. But just Ian Wilson for his professionalism. I became a better player once I went there. In my opinion, I got fitter and quicker. I was never a quick person at Fraserburgh, but when I went to Peterhead after pre-season, I used a wee man's pace. I'm like, what? I wasn't used to that. But just because of professionalism, and obviously he's played for Scotland and Everton and manager in Turkey.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed. And as I said, I still regretted playing five-a-sides. So I've probably played a lot of seasons there. But that's life, isn't it?
That's life, mate. You went on to have a success after it, so that's the way you need to look at it. A lot of silverware, a lot of medals. You still have all your medals and things like that? Yeah.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I was when I was at Buckie earlier, I was showing Josh the qualifying cup. I said it's the best tournament the Highland League had.
Yep.
Remember the 4 semi-finalists got to the Scottish Cup?
Your picture's still up there, I'm pretty sure, on the wall, is it not?
Buckie.
At Buckie.
Oh, in the bar.
In the bar, I'm pretty sure.
There was a photo on one side, but there's one up there saying
there was
medals of a legend or something.
There was I'm picturing there was a single picture of you with something, and then there's one that's got it's like a collage of different pictures, and you're in one of them as well.
Oh, okay.
But
I was too busy drinking vodka as we started.
Okay, thank you for that, Molby.
No
Good
problem
man.
at all. Thanks, appreciate you inviting me.